Hello and welcome, I'm Joshua Barnes and you're watching NewsX World. Let's first take a look at our headlines. Pope Leo XIV is holding his inaugural Mass at the Vatican with world leaders, royals and tens of thousands of spectators at St. Peter's Square. The first US-born Pope was elected after a swift two-day conclave. Russia has reportedly launched the largest drone attack of the war targeting Ukraine after the first direct peace talks for over 3 years. Ukraine says it has downed 88 of 273 Russian drones fired, as President Trump says he will hold talks with Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday. The Israeli military says it has successfully intercepted a ballistic missile fired from the Yemen Houthis. Air raid sirens were heard across parts of Israel, leading to the suspension of flights from Israel's main airports. Israeli attacks have reportedly killed 125 Palestinians today alone, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Meanwhile, Hamas has proposed releasing 9 hostages for a 60-day truce as ceasefire talks continued in Qatar amid an intensifying Israeli offensive. Pakistan has announced it will send a delegation abroad to present its case for peace following the Pahalgam terror attack. It comes after India announced they would send a multi-party delegation to brief global leaders on its operation and stance against cross-border terrorism. A bomb has exploded near a California fertility clinic, killing 1 person. The FBI calls the deadly explosion terrorism, while police say the deadly blast was apparently an intentional act. A Mexican Navy training ship has crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, leaving 2 people dead and multiple injured. Parts of the mast fell on deck. The Mexican Navy has confirmed the damage and say they are investigating. South Korean presidential candidates are set to face off in the first televised debate ahead of an election on the 3rd of June. The vote will take place after former President Yoon Suk-yeol was impeached over his short-lived martial law declaration. We start off this hour. According to Ukrainian authorities, Russia has launched its largest drone attack on Ukraine since the start of the war. A total of 273 drones were reportedly fired overnight, primarily targeting Kyiv, Dnipropetrovsk and Donetsk regions. Ukrainian air defences downed 88 of these drones. However, the attack killed 1 woman in the Kyiv region and injured at least 3 others, including a child. This strike follows failed peace talks between Russia and Ukraine in Istanbul on Friday. The talks did not yield a ceasefire, although an agreement was reached to exchange 1,000 prisoners of war. Ukrainian officials have condemned Russia's use of violence to intimidate during negotiations. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin stated that Moscow aims to eliminate the causes of the Ukraine conflict and ensure Russia's security. He made these comments after the unsuccessful peace talks, further escalating tensions in the ongoing war. The scale of this latest drone attack marks a significant intensification of Russian strikes, leaving the Kyiv region and much of Ukraine under air raid warnings for several hours. Israeli airstrikes have reportedly killed at least 125 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip overnight, according to local health authorities. Many children are among the dead, with complete families reportedly wiped out, said Gaza's health ministry spokesperson Khalil al-Dekran. This follows Israel's announcement of an expanded military campaign, which it says is intended to release hostages and achieve the total defeat of Hamas. Let's listen in to what some of the affected Gazans have had to say.
في البداية تم قصفنا، يعني صحينا مش شايفين قدامنا والدنيا غبرة، وأسفر هذا الاستهداف اللي هو الساعة 2 فجرا عن استشهاد 9 أشخاص وإصابة 7 آخرين، بعضهم حالتهم خطيرة.
ما سمعناش الا له دبه الا الشبابيك القزاز علي والقزاز والبلوك كله. قمنا نجري من النوم وغبروا كله ما عرفناش حاجه. طلعنا برا الدار مش عارفين وين هو هي لا هي عند جيراننا. فاجوا الاسعافات وقعدوا يسعفوا في الناس.
Well, the health ministry in Gaza also said that all public hospitals in the north of the territory are now out of service. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Baghai has strongly condemned the strikes, calling for an end to impunity for Israeli soldiers. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, over 53,200 people have been killed in Gaza since October the 7th of 2023. These developments come amid ongoing ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas. Well, joining us to discuss these latest developments in the war-torn Gaza Strip is Ali M. Abushbak, an independent Palestinian researcher who joins us from Cairo. Ali, as always, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Further strikes and intensified military incursion from Israel. What are the reports that you're hearing from the ground in the recent hours and days?
Thank you. In fact, Israel announced that it's launched their operation Gideon Chariots on the ground today after the Donald Trump, the USA president, he conducted his trip in Middle East and he finished it. And Israel launched its operation in Gaza. As you mentioned, that more than 100 civilians got killed during this night, a terrible night. And worth mentioning that since the past 1 week, Palestinian living under the fear because the Israeli intensive bombardment in Gaza in the mid of night and during the daytime. On the ground, Palestinians living in the fear because of the intensive and continuously bombardment. Most of the Israelis bombardment and targeting its focus in northern Gaza and southern part of Gaza. In northern Gaza, in Jabalia city and Jabalia refugee camp and Tal Zatar, as well as also Beit Lahia. In northern part of Gaza, in southern part of Gaza, that the Israeli airstrike is focused in Khan Yunis, the city that that supreme leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, he belongs in, and they are assassinated him during the fight in the last year. So the things is on the ground, Palestinian, that civilian now devastated completely because Israel targeting the tent and the shelter that the civilian they take to because of their home that got demolished and got destroyed during this war. Furthermore, also there is a lack of in supplies and food. Israel, since Hamas released the Israeli American soldier Alexander, they didn't allow for the humanitarian aid into Gaza. So until now, there is a 35 Palestinian hospital function, but now it's running out because of the end of the supplies and because also the Israeli blockaded, they cut off the supplies for medical supplies to help the hospital
Yes.
to treat the injured people.
Yes, absolutely. Ali, sorry to interject there, but I do want to discuss these ongoing negotiations that have been taking place in Doha, Qatar. Reports suggesting that Hamas has offered to release 9 hostages in exchange for a 60-day truce that would also see 400 aid trucks per day and a release of Palestinian prisoners. How likely is it that Israel will accept these terms? They've been very clear they want all hostages returned. They've also been clear that they want Hamas to be disbanded and disarm. In your opinion, is this almost a futile effort to end the hostilities, given that it's so far from what Israel wants?
I guess the change from Hamas mentality to accept such kind, because Hamas in the very beginning they announced they released several of a statement they will not accept the negotiation until Israel withdraw and stop the ceasefire, and they demanding for comprehensive exchange for the hostages and the Palestinian prisoner. But up to now, Hamas accepted to release part of the hostages and as well as the remain body, Israeli's body in Gaza for sake of 2 months of a truce or ceasefire in Gaza. This is a development in Hamas mentality, and I guess this is not Hamas demand to stop the war. Everyone's in Gaza, everyone demands to stop the war and in any cost, in any for any condition to stop the war and end this killing machine and end the bloodshed in Gaza. So I guess Hamas show their flexibility in this negotiation, and up to now the Israeli delegation in Qatar and Doha to finalize the deal with Hamas. There is an indirect talk between Hamas and Israel, and as well as Hamas team delegation is still in Qatar. So as I mentioned last 3 days, there is a good news. It will come. And in my belief that Israel is going to accept it, because there is Witkoff, he pressurized Hamas, Israel, and pressurized Qatar to make Hamas accept the deal and to end this war. Yesterday, also the foreign minister of Emirat, he demanded to stop the war, and he's ready to be a part of reconstruction Gaza. Also, we have witnessed that the foreign minister of Spain, he also demanded these things. There is no doubt about to stop the war and end the war. I guess Hamas accepted, and nowadays also that the decision on the table from the Israeli side, so either Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, he will accept it. And I guess now Benjamin Netanyahu, he's in hard place and toughest decision, because he knows if the war is ended, his career is going to be ended. So in my opinion, the international community pressurized Israel to accept the deal and to stop the war and allow to humanitarian aid into Gaza. These things, there is no doubt about it, and no one can disagree with these things, because the casualties always from the civilians, and we have witnessed the terrible footage and photo that from the Gaza civilians got impacted and was injury, and we have witnessed many children got killed. So I guess Hamas also going to accept to disarm and to leave Gaza and leave the power to the coming organization to running Gaza. Hamas has no choice now, because also Palestinian in Gaza demanding Hamas to accept such kind of offers or such kind of conditions.
Yes, absolutely. Ali M. Abushbak, thank you ever so much for joining us. Of course, a difficult situation on both sides, with hostages still being held, and of course the devastating situation in Gaza. We will be across all of the latest developments and ongoing diplomatic talks as they happen. But we stay now in the region, as Yemeni rebel spokesman Yahya Saree claimed a ballistic missile strike on Israel's Ben Gurion airport caused panic, with thousands seeking shelter and halting air traffic for nearly an hour. Saree confirmed the use of 2 missiles, including a hypersonic Palestine 2 missile. Let's listen in to what the Houthi military spokesperson had to say.
نفذت القوة الصاروخية في القوات المسلحة اليمنية عملية عسكرية نوعية استهدفت مطار اللد المسمى إسرائيليا مطار بن غوريون في منطقة يافا المحتلة، وذلك بصاروخين باليستيين، أحدهما فرط صوتي نوع فلسطين 2 والآخر ذو الفقار، وقد حققت العملية هدفها بنجاح بفضل الله.
Well, the Israeli military said that it intercepted the missile that was launched from Yemen towards the country. Sirens were activated across central Israel following the launch of the projectile. According to Israel's local media, a second missile from Yemen was also attempted but failed to launch. Following this, the Ben Gurion International Airport of Israel has reportedly halted landings and takeoffs. The mass inauguration of Pope Leo XIV has begun at the Vatican. Leo made his debut in the Pope Mobile through St. Peter's Square today, greeting tens of thousands of people. The event blended tradition with modern-day celebrity as Leo waved from an open-topped truck, passing by cheering crowds, waving flags from Peru, the US and many other countries. The Pope Mobile is a symbol of the papacy's global reach. After the tour, Leo began the solemn ceremony to inaugurate his papacy in St. Peter's Basilica. Security was tight, with dignitaries like US Vice President J.D. Vance, Peruvian President Dina Boluarte and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in attendance. The ceremony is emphasising Leo's service to the Church with strict diplomatic protocol, ensuring front row seating for the US and Peru due to Leo's dual nationality. Moving on now, imitating India's actions, Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has asked former Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari to present the country's case for peace on foreign capitals. Pakistan, facing global criticism following India's Operation Sindoor, which highlighted Islamabad's links to terrorism, is now attempting to restore its image through diplomatic means, in what appears to be a response to India's move of sending 7 multi-party delegations to global capitals. Pakistan has decided to send its own team to advocate for peace on the international stage. Pakistan's People's Party chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari announced on Saturday that Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif had asked him to lead the delegation amid rising tensions between the two countries. I was contacted earlier today by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who requested that I lead a delegation to present Pakistan's case for peace on the international stage. I am honoured to accept this responsibility and remain committed to serving Pakistan in these challenging times. That there was what Zardari wrote on Facebook. The move is seen as Pakistan's effort to counter growing international pressure and salvage its global standing, which has been damaged by repeated allegations of supporting terrorism. Well, joining us to discuss this development today is Major General Dr. Rajan Koja, a defence expert. Major General Koja, thank you ever so much for being here with us. We're looking at a situation which seems to be in response to India's actions with global leaders and leading nations. Why do you think Pakistan has chosen this path?
It's a very interesting development. See, what is happening is that Pakistan has been spreading disinformation, and especially in the world media, which we have seen, because many of the Pakistanis are writing for international newspapers and news magazines, and they are presenting a one-sided view of this entire operation, Sindoor, which has been carried out by India against terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan. So the Indian government very rightly decided on a all-party delegation. 7 such delegations are being dispatched, 59 members of parliament, and the basic aim of this delegation is to counter disinformation, to showcase national unity against terrorism, and to engage the international stakeholders and the opinion leaders, media and the academia, to give them a correct perspective of what Pakistan is indulging in. Pakistan has been taken on the back foot now because this initiative launched by India, now Pakistan has also decided that Zardari Bhutto will go and you take a delegation from Pakistan to all the other countries. But I don't think it will have any major impact, because today it has been proved beyond doubt that Pakistan is a haven for terrorist activities. Even their own defense minister, Khwaja Asif, he has articulated publicly that Pakistan has been harboring terrorists for the last 30 years and continues to do that. So India's campaign is basically to highlight Pakistan's role in spreading terrorism into India and at the world at large. There are reports that Hamas has fighters have also come to Pakistan last couple of months, and they've been training along with the terrorist groups in Pakistan, the Resistance Front, Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed. So it's high time, I think, the world starts recognizing Pakistan as a terrorist state, put Pakistan on the FATF grey list, and ensure that Pakistan comes into line. Because you see, unless there is world pressure on Pakistan, Pakistan is not going to mend its ways, and the criticality of the conflict between the two countries, that is India and Pakistan, will continue to remain. We would like to have peace in our subcontinent. We would like to live in peace with our neighbors, provided the neighbors also want the same thing. But it seems that Pakistan is hell-bent on troubling India, causing terrorist activities, infiltration, moving in its terrorists into Jammu and Kashmir.
Yes.
And you are aware of that incident in Pahalgam, where 26 people have lost their lives. So we don't want a repeat of Pahalgam happening, and
Yes.
that is why India is concerned and wants to tell the world that there is no good or bad terrorism. Terrorism is only one, and it needs to be eradicated.
Yes,
Joshua.
Major General Kodja, sorry to cut in there. We are running shorter on time, but I do want to pick up on a point that you made, and that is the Indian transparency. Of course, Operation Sindoor has been detailed in press conferences extensively. And of course, this delegation is going out to inform world leaders about the work that has been done. Why do you think Pakistan, given the lack of transparency on their side, are continuing with this path as well? Is this to save face, or is this just a way of saying we are here, there are two sides to this, and to try and put their point across?
See, the problem with Pakistan is that Pakistan refuses to accept that they are harboring terrorist camps. It's been on record. They are attending, their senior army officers are attending funerals of terrorists who have been killed by the Indian strike. So I think the problem with Pakistan is that the self-realization is not coming in, and they refuse to accept that they are the epicenter of terrorism, and that is why this defense mechanism, I would call it, in psychology we call it the defense mechanism. This defense mechanism is playing its part because Pakistan wants to defend whatever India wants to say in world forums, and that is the reason Pakistan is wanting to send its own delegation to defend its cause and to tell the world that they are not a terrorist country.
Yes, Major General Dr. Rajan Kochhar, thank you ever so much for joining us and providing your insight. We will be across all of those developments. Moving now to North America, a Mexican Navy ship crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge on Saturday night, killing 2 people and injuring 22 others. The sailing vessel, Cuauhtémoc, struck the bridge while passing under it during a promotional tour in New York City. New York Mayor Eric Adams confirmed the death toll and said 3 people remain in a critical condition. The ship was carrying 277 people when its masts hit the iconic structure and partially collapsed. Videos showed people dangling from rigging and emergency crews rushing to help. The Mexican Navy said a mechanical failure may have caused the incident. All injuries occurred on board and no one fell into the water. Here is what a witness had said.
Bueno, estábamos dándole el adiós a todos los muchachos que ya se iban, ya el barco había partido. Pocos segundos tenía que había salido del muelle donde estaba. En cuanto de repente vimos todas las luces, cómo chocaron, impactaron contra el puente, y todos cayeron para abajo.
Well, despite the impact, officials say the Brooklyn Bridge suffered no major damage. Traffic resumed after an inspection. The Quatamok was departing for Iceland after a visit to New York. An investigation into the collision is underway. Staying in North America, a deadly bomb blast has rocked Palm Springs, California on Saturday morning, killing 1 and injuring 4 near a fertility clinic. The FBI is calling it an intentional act of terrorism. The explosion hit the parking lot of American Reproductive Centers, damaging several nearby buildings. Here is what one employee described the scene to be.
Down from our break, and we were, assessing our patients, making sure they're okay. When we heard this loud noise, I shook all of our building. Our patients were scared. We actually thought something had hit our building. And then I heard some shattering, and I came outside to check. It was our building next to us. All of the windows shattered. Thankfully, we were okay. Our patients were okay, and then.
Well, the FBI's Akil Davis said investigators will determine if the attack was domestic or international terrorism. Palm Springs Police Chief Andy Mills confirmed the blast caused widespread destruction and was likely deliberate. Let's listen in to Akil Davis from the FBI.
This was an intentional act of terrorism. As our investigation will unfold, we will determine if it's an international terrorism or domestic terrorism. Let me be clear. This was probably one of the largest bombing investigations that we've had in Southern California. It's on scale of the Aliso Obeo bombing in Orange County.
Well, authorities have identified a person of interest but are not actively searching for a suspect. The identity of the person killed remains unknown. US Attorney General Pam Bondi called the bombing unforgivable, adding that federal agencies are working to uncover the motive. Despite the damage, the clinic said its lab and reproductive materials remain safe. No staff were injured. California's Governor Gavin Newsom has been briefed and pledged full support for the investigation. Moving on, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is set to sign a new deal with the European Union on Monday to strengthen post-Brexit ties. His office confirmed the move, calling it a step towards a more stable and prosperous relationship with the bloc. The deal aims to ease trade in food products, support British producers, and enhance cooperation on defence and security. Talks will take place at Lancaster House in London, where Starmer will meet top EU leaders, including Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa. The Prime Minister's office says the agreement will boost jobs, reduce costs for families, and unlock future growth. Discussions are ongoing around fishing rights and youth mobility schemes. Starmer said this deal follows recent trade pacts with India and the United States, all focused on putting more money in people's pockets. EU diplomats say negotiations are down to the wire, but expect progress. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has downplayed hopes for a breakthrough on a free trade deal with the European Union ahead of his meeting with EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in Rome. The two leaders will meet on the sidelines of Pope Leo XIV's inauguration. Negotiations on the trade agreement have been ongoing since 2018, but talks stalled in 2023 after Australia rejected EU proposals, citing insufficient access for key agricultural exports like beef, dairy and sugar. Albanese said he doesn't expect major announcements, but emphasised the importance of renewing dialogue at the leadership level. This move comes as Australia explores joint strategies with other nations to defend free trade amid growing global protectionism, particularly from the United States. Moving on, 17 people, including 8 children, have died in a massive fire near Gulzar House in India's Hyderabad's Old City. The blaze, suspected to be caused by a short circuit, started in a jewellery shop and quickly spread to residential floors. Rescue teams saved 17 others using advanced equipment. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced compensation worth 2 lakh per victim, while the Telangana government promised 4 lakh rupees each and a full investigation. China has imposed anti-dumping duties of up to 74.9% on polyoxymethylene copolymers, a type of engineering plastic from the United States, European Union, Japan and Taiwan. This follows a probe launched in May 2024, coinciding with the US raising tariffs on Chinese imports. Polymers used in auto parts, electronics and medical equipment have been found to be dumped in China, according to the ministry's investigation. The highest duties, 74.9%, apply to US imports, while European shipments face 34.5%. Japan's duties are set at 35.5%, with a reduced rate for Asahi Kasei. Taiwan's general duties are 32.6%, with specific rates for companies like Formosa Plastics. Despite this, there are signs of easing US-China trade tensions following. 5 people were killed in southwestern Finland when 2 helicopters collided mid-air and crashed in a wooded area near Ure Airport. Police say the collision occurred shortly after noon near the town of Koata, with the wreckage falling about 700 metres from the road. According to Detective Chief Inspector Johannes Sirila of the National Bureau of Investigation, flight plans showed 2 people were aboard one helicopter and 3 in the other. Both helicopters were registered outside Finland, one in Estonia and the other in Austria, and belonged to Estonian companies. Reports indicate the helicopters were headed to a hobby aviation event. The National Bureau of Investigation is leading a joint probe with local police, and Finnish and Estonian authorities are cooperating. Well, that is all we have time for, but we will continue to bring you more of the latest breaking news from across the world.